In today's video, we are discussing all the latest news and notes coming out of Port St. Lucie during Mets spring training right here on the True Mets Talk podcast. All right, Mets Nation, welcome back to the True Mets Talk podcast. It's your boy CP. First and foremost, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate everyone being here during this video. We are going over the latest out of Mets camp in Port St. Lucie. We're discussing notes, updates, news, and rumors, all of that as a part of our daily coverage of spring training from our beloved team from Queens, the New York Mets. Before we fully get into this video, make sure you're checking out all the latest content on the channel. I will link some of those videos and episodes down in the description down below. Make sure to comment your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. And if you enjoy these daily updates surrounding the New York Mets, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. All right, we got a lot of topics to discuss today, and we are starting off with the bullpen. Edwin Diaz through his first live batting practice session against live hitters, and he went up against the likes of Francisco Lindor, who he struck out, and Juan Soto, who he got to fly out to left field. Not too shabby of competition when you go out there for the first time throwing live BP to live hitters in 2025 for Edwin Diaz. He looked good, and the fastball was reportedly up to 96 miles per hour on the radar gun. Ladies and gentlemen, it is February 19th, 2025. That is fantastic news that his fastball is gearing up and is already at 96. We know midseason form Edwin Diaz, when he really rears back, is up to 99, 100 miles per hour, and he will certainly get to that point, assuming his arm is feeling good, and we have no indications that he's not feeling good. 96 miles per hour on February 19th is always a great sign. Edwin Diaz is looking to take 2025 by storm, only 2 years removed from that major injury he sustained in the World Baseball Classic, trying to follow an up and down season in 2024 objectively. When you take a look at the split numbers in terms of the months, an abysmal month of May after starting the season off on an okay note in March and April. He really struggled in May, went on the IL, got fully healthy, and kind of took off during those middle summer months, only to hit a wall again in the month of August before cruising to the end of the season into the playoffs in September on into October. He is looking for a lot more consistency after he posted just north of a 3.50 ERA in 2024. And again, not too bad of the production, the production level in his first season back, coming off of that surgery for that ACL injury that he sustained back in 2023. So, 2 years removed from the injury, we should see a lot more comfortability out of Edwin Diaz out of the gate starting on game one on opening day, in game one on opening day, I should say. Next, we have a very nice feel good story for one of the Mets prospects in this farm system, Matt Allen, former third round pick coming out of high school, drafted during the Brodie Van Wagenen regime, number 89 overall. It happens to be the same draft where the Mets took Brett Beatty in the first round. Matt Allen has gone through a lot of adversity in his early professional career so far. Three separate arm injuries, three separate arm surgeries that has kept him out of in-game action for the last 6 seasons. And now in 2025, he appears to be fully healthy, fully recovered, and is ready to appear in his first game action in this 2025 campaign in an affiliate organization with the New York Mets. So he is still, again, a Mets prospect, only 23 years old, which is really crazy to think about. Again, the Mets drafted him out of high school and gave him a $2.5 million signing bonus in hopes of persuading him to come to the Mets organization over starting his collegiate career at the University of Florida. Such a feel good story, again, with the amount of adversity that he has gone through with all these injuries. How can you not root for the kid, Matt Allen, to succeed and hopefully maintain that healthy status as he looks to rise up in the ranks of this Mets organization in hopes of one day appearing with the big league squad in Queens? Now, again, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. It'll probably take him a couple of seasons to find that rhythm and go through the organizational ranks in the farm system. But again, rooting for Matt Allen first and foremost. Really good to see that he is healthy finally and he is ready to go in game action for the first time in 6 years. And I know that must feel good for him and his family as well. Next, we're flipping over to the offensive side with the Mets and Carlos Mendoza stating in a sit down interview with Gary Apple today that he is taking a page out of the New York Yankees playbook from last season, and his top two in the order in which he is leaning towards is Francisco Lindor leading off. No shocker there. Turned into an MVP caliber candidate after going from that 3 spot up into the leadoff spot, which I was a very heavy advocate for in the middle of the season last year. And he's also leaning towards batting Juan Soto second. We've had all these discussions about potential batting orders for the Mets in 2025. Such a versatile lineup, especially when you're talking about the potential 1 through 6 and the personnel that Carlos Mendoza now has to choose from in that order. He is leaning towards Lindor and Juan Soto being the top two guys. Recently I've been advocating for Juan Soto hitting 3 and Mark Vientos taking that second spot. Now all eyes are on who's going to be hitting behind Juan Soto. Juan Soto, before he even joined the Mets organization, his primary question was, who were the Mets going to give in this lineup and have in this lineup to hit behind him as sort of quote unquote protection? Not that Juan Soto needs any protection to begin with, because he can hit in any batting order position. We've talked about the split numbers throughout his career, whether it's batting 2, 3, 4, etc. He succeeds at all positions in this batting order. But it could be Mark Vientos going into his second full season, the sophomore season, as we like to say, hitting 3 and keeping Pete Alonso in that cleanup spot to do the most damage in terms of runs batted in, potentially with a lot of runners on base for Pete Alonso in this next contract year in 2025. Or they could switch it up and have Mark Vientos be the cleanup hitter and have Pete Alonso hitting directly behind Juan Soto, which would be a little bit advantageous as well for Pete Alonso in a different manner, getting to see Juan Soto at bat, being on deck, potentially getting better pitches to hit, etc. I don't know how Carlos Mendoza is really going to do this. If he's committing to Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto being the top two, at that point, that's fine. I do think that there's still a lot of potential for opposing teams to pitch around Juan Soto, but that's all going to depend on Lindor and what he does in the leadoff spot. Lindor also sat down in an interview today, and he was asked about that potential of batting directly in front of Juan Soto and what his objective is going to be. And he just simply said, get on base any way I can for Juan Soto, as a true leadoff hitter does, right? And he's going to do the rest, because Lindor and anybody in this organization is going to have confidence in Juan Soto anytime he steps into that box, no matter where he is hitting. So that is Mendoza's outlook in terms of the batting order. And lastly, this is a free agency news article and report that has come out today from Pat Ragazzo, Mets beat reporter from Sports Illustrated, that Jose Quintana and the Mets have mutual interest. Jose Quintana wants a reunion, and with the recent Frankie Montas injury, the Mets are also interested and have actually called to inquire about Jose Quintana's availability. We all know the options are limited in terms of starting pitching on the free agent market. Quintana, being the veteran that he is, posting great numbers all in all in the 2024 campaign in that magical Mets run to the League Championship Series, is drawing interest from multiple clubs, we could assume. But if he really values the Mets organization and wants to run it back, this could be a fantastic option mutually and beneficial mutually for both Jose Quintana, right, entering his age 37 season, I believe, and also the New York Mets trying to fill Frankie Montas's spot now that Frankie Montas is going to be on the shelf for the next 6 weeks at least in terms of throwing, and then a couple of weeks to ramp up after that. He will not be on the opening day roster for the New York Mets. Although the good news is he's feeling good. Frankie Montas directly stated after he received a PRP injection for that latch strain that he sustained, he is feeling really good. So that is the good news at least. But all eyes for me are on this Jose Quintana situation. Is David Stearns going to, go into that free agent pool money bag that Steve Cohen has talked about? The Mets are already deep into the luxury tax payments, the Cohen tax, etc. Are they going to dish out upwards of maybe $10 million to bring in a contingency plan option in Jose Quintana in this rotation? Or are they going to rely on the internal routes of Griffin Canning, Paul Blackburn, a guy like Tyler McGill, maybe, or maybe this guy that I'm going to be talking about right here. Now, I say this as a caveat, and I do want to caveat this because I don't think it's going to happen right away. But this is an option. Let's just say a month or two into the season, if the Mets don't like what's transpiring in the rotation, especially in the back end, and David Stearns wants to make a lateral move, they could utilize the versatility of Jose Butto, who has split his time in this organization thus far, especially in 2024 as a starter and a reliever. Butto came onto the scene very strong in the tail end of that lost season for the Mets in 2023, and we were really excited about what would transpire with him in 2024, and he exceeded expectations in the regular season. Now, the playoffs are a different story. He struggled mightily, posting a 6.5, actually north of a 6.50 ERA, a lot of walks there mixed in between. He just did not have a good time in the postseason for the New York Mets. But in 2024, across the board, whether he was a starter or whether he was a reliever, Jose Butto did exceed expectations. 38 innings pitched as a starter in 2024 with a 3.08 ERA, and then respectively as a reliever, 36 innings pitched with a flat 2.00 ERA, and the walks and hits per innings pitched went down to a flat 1.00. He still does struggle with walks in the entirety of his 2024 campaign. It's a little bit above league average. He has some control issues at times in which we've seen, but he also does have very good put away stuff. He's a bulldog on the mound and he's going to give you innings. So I am not saying, I'm going to repeat this, I am not saying that Jose Butto is going to start off in this rotation. I think that is a very far shot because we've already heard, even given the Montas injury, that Mendoza and Stearns have committed to Jose Butto being in the bullpen. But if a situation were to arise where desperate times could call for desperate measures, hopefully the Mets don't feel like they need to go down that route. But they could always rely on Jose Butto back in the rotation if they absolutely need to. Posting 7 games started in his career for the New York Mets in each of the last 2 seasons. And that's what a rotation would look like with Jose Butto's name in it. As we go back to the Jose Quintana discussion here for a quick second, if they choose to forego a re-signing of Jose Quintana. Listen, at this point, again, there is no downside minus the additional penalty that you'll pay on whatever contract value you give out to Jose Quintana. There is no downside to re-signing Jose Quintana and bringing in that extra arm. Is he going to solve all of the New York Mets rotation problems? No. But again, you can just adjust the rotation to your needs even when Montas comes back, and you can make a name like Canning or Paul Blackburn expendable, and even Tyler McGill, should they not perform up to expectations in the beginning part of the season when Frankie Montas is set to come back. So I think it's a no-brainer option. It's a no-brainer option, and I definitely would do that. But again, we will see how this situation plays out. These are your latest news and notes. Again, Mets fans, we will see what the Mets do. What do you all want the Mets to do and David Stearns to do? Let me know in the comment section down below. Continue to hit those thumbs up buttons and subscribe to the channel. Let's go Mets. I'm excited for spring training action. Game 1 opening up this Saturday with Clay Holmes as the starter. Let's go Mets.